Now, an incredible story of a former Paralympian who set himself a pretty big challenge to raise money to help sick children. John Harris and his support team did exactly as they set out to do. And at the age of 68, John became the oldest wheelchair user to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. While thousands may claim to have climbed Africa's highest mountain each year, only one man in a wheelchair can now add his name to the list. At 68 years old, former Welsh Paralympian John Harris from Pontypool makes his way to the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, with a dedicated team supporting him to raise money for seriously sick children. 5,681 metres later, an exhausted but triumphant team reach Gilman's Point and pose with a flag painted for them by patients at the Children's Hospital of Wales in Cardiff. Despite months of training, the climb proved more difficult and challenging than they could have ever imagined. With the harshest of temperatures to contend with, some members had to be stretchered down off the mountain. The others, including John, carried on with their push to the top. Back on home soil, with £20,000 raised, the flag and the team, with a few aches and pains, appear to be none the worse for wear. The flag will now be given back to the Children's Hospital for safekeeping. And as for the next fundraising challenge, well, how do you top this? That is the question. After that gruelling adventure, a very triumphant John is with me in the studio with Marc Eckley from charity Fullcircle, who led the expedition. Thank you both very much for coming in to talk to us. Wow. What, I mean, watching that back, is it weird to see just what you did?
Oh, it really is, because I think when we were out there for 9 or 10 days, living on the edge,
literally,
basically, and then coming back, and it's so deflating, to be honest with you. But for me, the memories will live with me forever. I've done quite a bit in my life, you know, but that, without a shadow of a doubt, was the toughest thing that I've ever had to do.
There must have been moments during it where you just thought, I can't do this, I've got to give up.
Not so much the giving up, it was the support team that I had with me, some of these guys, you know, the porters. The last 1,000 to 1,200 metres took us 7 hours. And just before we got to Gilman's Point, I looked at these guys and I'm thinking to myself, this is their life. It was my dream to get to Uhuru Peak. Unfortunately, I didn't. I managed Gilman's Point. And I looked at these guys and I thought, I can't put them through it anymore, you know. There ain't going to be a national health check coming through to these fellas, you know. And so I thought, I can't. And I looked at the weather and I thought, it's just not doable. It's just not doable anymore. And I didn't want to put these guys through it. And then, of course, Mark and the girls, they went on further. But Deborah came down with me at that particular point because I just wasn't prepared to put the guys through it.
But still, an amazing achievement. And when you got to that point, you must have thought, wow, how did I get here? I've done so well.
I was disappointed.
Were you?
Yeah, I was disappointed. And I've got to be honest, you know, I've competed in 5 Paralympics, so I know what it's like to win, lose and draw. And it was kind of the silver medal. Although it's classed as a summit, it was still, to me, it was still a silver medal. But I think the underlying thing for me is the fact that why were we doing it? And it was for those children that are seriously ill.
And you raised a lot of money.
We raised a lot of money, you know, and hopefully we will go on, and it'll continue, without a doubt.
Mark, I mean, he mentions disappointment there and silver medals. I mean, most people would give a gold for that effort, and to you as well, because you were in charge and responsible for that team. That's a big responsibility.
Yes, it was. Something I probably wouldn't like to be responsible for again. I mean, the first major disappointment was obviously I was sharing a tent with a gentleman by the name of Lee Dukes, who's a radio presenter. Yeah. And I was watching him hour by hour deteriorate to where his oxygen levels, his oxygen saturation levels were 40%.
So he got seriously ill?
He had pulmonary edema, and
right.
The doctors there said that 1 more hour and he probably wouldn't have been around. So having to send him down at midnight, I said, Lee, you have to go down. And he said, oh, I think I'll try and sleep it off.
Yeah, well, this would be someone that's normally probably a good person to have as a tent companion, because they're
chatty and
right,
funny,
yeah.
but he wasn't in a very good way at all.
No, not at all. And, you know, I could hear his lungs bubbling, and I said, you have to go down. So, you know, disappointment there, and you're shattering someone's dreams by telling them that they have to go down.
But safety's the priority.
That's right. But, and then we got to the top, obviously, we got to Uhuru Peak, and unfortunately, I think the guide that we had panicked because a couple of people had become ill that day. So instead of going up in the night, we went out in the day, and we arrived there at sunset rather than sunrise. The temperature dropped to -25 immediately when the sun went behind the clouds. 2 of the girls collapsed. One was unconscious and vomiting blood. The guide didn't have a torch. There was the oxygen cylinder that he had was empty.
Me.
So at that point, I thought, I brought 5 people on top of the mountain.
There's a lot of pressure.
And I don't think we're going to get back. And it literally was, you know, a case of touch and go.
You know, it's fascinating talking to you both in more detail, because we see the media reports and the TV reports, like the one that we just played now, where obviously we show, you know, and we talk about some of the challenges, but it's very much a celebration of your achievements. But actually talking to you, there were some pretty low moments and dangerous moments for you to endure.
Exactly, and I think for me, one of the iconic moments for me, someone said, "Did you enjoy it?" No.
I think I can understand why now.
But having said that, everything I've ever done pales kind of into insignificance compared to this climb, and it's something I would never have not wanted to do, because that will live with me forever. And getting that chance at, you know, coming up to 70 kind of thing is sort of phenomenal. And I was really lucky in as much I never suffered altitude sickness. I never suffered fitness-wise. I was fine. I was absolutely fine with it. But crikey, there were some scary moments on the way up. If one of those guys had have dropped me, I was dead. Yeah. When you got up there to...
He hasn't actually spoken to me since we got back. He's told me not to come up with any more harebrained ideas.
This is the reunion. You're friends again now. Do you know, I'm so pleased you both got back safely, did so well, raised so much money, and came to talk to us about it. It was fantastic to meet you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you.